Welcome back to another episode of the System and the Hustler Squad podcast. Myself, Tom, and Steve have just interviewed our favourite guest ever by far. Jimmy, who we interviewed on the 14th of December, is in his 50s. He's been punting for 35 years. He actually shared with us a number of his stories where he started punting at the age of 15. He talks about how he's seen and witnessed the gambling industry develop over time since the 1980s. And he shared with us basically some advice and blunt feedback, which no doubt will trigger some. He says things as it is, but it is the way in which we like to tell people things as well. If you want to listen to a general chat around betting, not so much about our own service, but more just about a punter who has seen and done it all, then have a listen to Jimmy's story and no doubt you'll gain something from it. We had to morph his voice and pixelate his face due to him wanting to remain anonymous, but we hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as we did. If you want any questions for us, as always, reach out to us via Instagram or check out our website. So let's welcome Jimmy. He's probably he'd be 7th or 8th guest now on what we call this a podcast or an interview. You've been a member now for, I think you joined the system in like May and then you subbed to Platinum Squad in like June. So I guess welcome on board firstly, and we're just going to have a chat to you today about your journey so far. And I really wanted to talk to someone who is a little bit of a different style of person. Like we've interviewed a lot of serious people, but you're someone who's older and you've had a massive punting history, which I found interesting. And you put a really good comment in the chat the other week after Saturday. We'll put it on the screen, but you basically said that you've never had more fun punting in your last 35 years as a punter. And I found that really interesting. So, I guess welcome. Thanks, and do you want to share with everyone? Yeah, no worries. Do you want to share with everyone your story just generally, or do you want us to ask questions?
Look, just a bit of a background. I've just turned and probably had a punting history of about 35 years. Started when I was probably about 15. I can remember walking into the TAB and when I was in year 9 or year 10, still with my school bag on my shoulder and a school tie and having a punt in the afternoon on a Wednesday or Melbourne Cup day or whatever day it was, and they didn't bat an eyelid. And then as time progressed, you hang around with your mates, and it was just the thing you did. And growing up around playing in footy clubs, it's a massive magnet to get on the punt. And if you can't control yourself, you're going to find yourself in all sorts. I've come through.
It's honestly like, I was just going to say, like, as you touched on, like, footy clubs and shit, like, it's funny that you say that because obviously you're a bit of an older man, Jimmy, if you don't mind me saying that, but, you would have been around footy clubs 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they're still the exact same now. It's like dudes don't know how to socialise or do anything else other than drink beers and punt, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah, exactly, Tom. It's basically the piss and the punt. That's all it is. And if you're playing local park footy, you're taking it serious, but also the social activities get in the way. And don't get me wrong, it had some awesome times, great camaraderie, lifelong friends made, but it can really, unearth some demons that, probably a lot of young blokes, and now I'm finding out today, young women, didn't know they probably had. And it becomes a real crux for them. They sort of, you come relying on it. And it can be, very, very destructive lifestyle to go down, let's just say. And if it gets out of hand, it's not good. And like I've got to this point in my life where
100% agree.
I'm over it. You're just over losing. And if blokes have had some big wins and some big losses, you'll know what I mean when you say a gambling hangover, because it's just as bad as a hangover on the drink. You're off yourself for a couple of days.
It can even be worse.
Yeah, it is.
That's something. Go on.
You can have a big win, right? But you can still feel like shit the next day. It's hard to explain, because you would think, oh wow, I won $5,000, but you know in the back of your mind you just turned over 20 to get it, and you dodged a few bullets
Correct.
to get there. And you should be
So I was
waking
going
up
to say,
in the
like a
morning.
lot of those people, it's like they make it on their last bet, right? And it's like they go that all or nothing last bet. And you're right, you make 5K for the day. Cool, I made 5K, but fuck me, if that last bet didn't win, I would have been in the hole 8 or 10. And it's like, geez, you don't want to be in that position again. It's almost like a sense of relief that the day's over as opposed to celebrating a win because you haven't really won.
Well, and you, the emotional roller coaster that you're on. Like the start of the day, you know, I can remember going to Moonee Valley Cox Plate one year. It was probably 15 years ago. Go down there, flew down from Sydney for the day. You get on it, and you're all excited. All the boys are up and about, and, you know, a few beers, and how good's this? You're sitting in the celebrity room, $400 a head, going, "This is awesome." You know, got seats in the grandstand. You're on the piss, and by the middle of the day, you're down $4,000. And back then, your bookie didn't tell you because there was no apps. We didn't have apps. Right? You're either doing cash or you're ringing up on the phone. The next thing you know, your bookie's slinging you credit. You don't know. You're 10, 15 beers deep. And next thing you know, you're in $3,000 in a hole.
Yeah.
And I can remember having a bet in the last
So back then,
to get out. Yeah.
So yeah, keep going with that story, Kembla one.
Yeah. So I had a crack at a thing in the last in Kembla. And the funny the story is, it was 10-1, and I rang up, and you're full of piss, and I just said 500 on the 6, and the thing wouldn't go into the stalls. It was playing up, so I rang the bookie back up, and I halved the bet, and the thing got up and won, paid $10. Now I was more filthy on myself that I cut the bet in half, not the fact that I got myself out of trouble.
Spot on.
You know, but the next day, that feeling doesn't leave you, and it's a shit horrible feeling. It's an emotional roller coaster, and it really, really fucks with your head.
That feeling that you've got as well that you're speaking about, I have no doubt that most punters, whether they're betting $5, $10, you know, a lot of punters, you know, it's only $10 or it's only $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when they lose their 200 or their 500 or their 1,000 or whatever it is, it's all relative, right, to them. And they have that sick feeling or that disappointment in themselves, or that, you know, it's just like, or you say if they find a winner in the last, and it's like relief, but it's not joy. Like, you're not punting for fun by then. You're literally punting to try and get yourself out of a hole. And so many people don't get out of that hole. And then for the next 2 days, 3 days, week, 2 weeks, all they think about is the money that they've lost. And it's just a recurring cycle that they end up on for some people for the rest of their lives, even from like 18, 19. So it's interesting to hear that, you know, you're somebody who has been on that roller coaster for 20, 30 years. And now you're like, you know, I see how messed up it is. And, you know, you're having so much more fun now in a controlled environment, betting probably way less than you've ever bet before. But, you know, at least, you know, you've got control of it, and you're not on that emotional roller coaster, which is what destroys so many punters.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Every punter knows there's nothing better than backing the first winner of the day, and you're on a high. Now, to maintain that high, what are your chances of getting higher than that? You got to back the next winner, and then the next winner. But you're only going to come crashing down the ground.
100%.
So what do you say? One thing that Tom mentioned sort of just then was this idea of punting for fun. And this is something that we get criticized a lot with. People think that the way we punt is somewhat boring. It isn't sexy. You know, people are just looking to have a bit of fun with their mates at the pub. And obviously, you know, some of the things you've touched on here is it doesn't really sound all that fun. So what do you say to people who do have this idea that they're potentially hiding behind their losses or whatever it may be with this idea of punting for fun?
I don't think there's anything less false than punting for fun. It's bullshit. A typical Saturday afternoon for a bloke would be to go down the pub, get on the piss, have a punt. Straight away, you're losing all. You're probably your strongest point of where you can actually think for yourself. Once the alcohol kicks in, you're gone. Once the thrill of having a punt kicks in, you're gone. It's like being a drug user. All of a sudden, they've got that high they wanted, and they'll just keep feeding it till they get it. And it's like, you know blokes that play the choppers, they're just slapping that button. You know, the reels keep ticking over. They're getting the bright lights, the pump, the horse, the whole thing. when you remove yourself from that, so technically you are there, you're on the inside looking out. When you're on the outside looking in, which we are now doing what you guys do, you think, fuck, what took me so long to work that out? Why? And it's like I think JP said it last week after Saturday. It's the action brain. Do you act on that impulse? Do you allow yourself to go down that path? If we do it your way, the way the system comes through and everything, it's just safer, and it's proven, like the track record. You just got to chip away at it. You just got to do the process. Yeah, it's not sexy. You're not getting those massive highs. Oh, guess what? I just won $5,000 on a $50 bet or whatever it was. But you know what? I'd rather $100 at the end of every week guaranteed than risking $500 because I don't know what the outcome's going to be. And it's
I really liked that you said looking from the outside in because that's so spot on, because so many subscribers or so many people, even that just consume our content, especially after our multis podcast, so many people were like, far out. I'd never actually thought of it like that. I'd never seen myself as that kind of punter. I'd never really understood what I was doing with all these multis or how likely I was to lose. Like, they never really understood that. And once you said you see from the outside in, and you're like, you look at those people now, and so many subscribers will message us going, yeah, I get so frustrated at my mates. Like, I see my mates blow half their paycheck, they blow hundreds every week. I'm at the pub with them, and I'm either following the system or just understand that, betting that way, though it may be a tiny bit of fun in that moment in time, like, as I said, you know that you're going to lose, and eventually that just destroys you. Like, if you know you're going to lose every single Saturday, why would you keep doing it? And as you said, you have five beers, the thrill kicks in, and then it just becomes that kind of habit or addiction that you just keep chasing. Oh, I might get the winner of the next one. Oh, I might get the next. Hopefully I'll be up at the end of the day. Like, it's bloody sad.
I'm an old school punter, right? So we back things to win. If you back each way, you got ridiculed. So you back you put it on the nose, 100 on the nose, just get on. When they started doing, all multis come out, and now I had to work out what an SGM was, the same game multi. I'm looking at it. I'm dead set. I'm looking at it, and it's some bloke to kick 6 goals in the first quarter, 4 hand passes in the second quarter. This bloke to have his left sock up on his right leg and all this bullshit. And go, seriously, how the fuck you meant to get that? Not a chance in hell. I can't get one winner. How am I going to get 7? Or, like you said, Steve, the other one of those last podcasts, 14 legs that this young girl was talking about on the train on your way to work. Yeah, and goes, oh, do you think that's enough? You know what? You're probably 13 too many because you just I've got no idea.
Spot on.
Yeah, but Steve got fucking rinsed for that. Like, that video went on a bit viral on TikTok, and he fully just got like hammered for taking the piss out of a young girl.
JP,
like,
you're obviously dealing with
rather than the dumbness. Yeah.
You're dealing with you're dead set. You're dealing with uneducated morons when it comes to that. Like any half-wit.
We don't like to say that, but it's good to someone else can say it.
Yeah, I'll say I've got no problem saying it. You got no chance. And you know what really gets my goat is the perception that the bookies, who I would class as bottom feeders, they come along and it's like they want to be your mate. Some of them do the no BS and Ladbrokes and all that. Yeah. Hey, mate, how you going? Can you deposit more money? We'll do this for you. And, mate, all they're trying to do is divert your attention while they stick their hand in your back pocket. They don't care about your welfare. They can give 2 shits about you. If your marriage falls apart, you lose a house, car. They don't care. Because there's another sucker around the corner.
You see that whenever Sportsbet do a payout, an early payout special or something, if, whatever the most recent one. I think they did Carlton to pay out making top 4 or top 8 this year at round 6 or something like that. And they advertise it everywhere as if we're the best blokes ever. Look at us. We're giving you early money. How good are we, sort of thing. And everyone gets sucked into that. Everyone gets sucked into this idea that the bookies are there to help us. And they're doing us a service. By allowing us to play on their platform, they're doing us a service. And everyone's sucked into this idea. And then they just drip everyone dry.
So they're running a business, right? And the whole idea of running a business is to make a profit. Why would they then give away their money? Because then their business wouldn't be around.
Yeah.
So it's you don't have to be Einstein.
So
It is so simple,
but
but
then
they get
they
caught up
do
in
it
it.
so well where it's not.
Yeah.
Correct.
You just got to
Like,
read. Be
Steve
smart. You've
did
got to
it-
be smart about you.
Correct. Steve explained it really well once. We had a question to each other on one of our, I think it was like podcast number 6. Someone said, or Tom asked Steve if he would become a bookie, and we basically explained why we wouldn't. And Steve said, like, a bookie doesn't have any moral goals. They don't have any kind of, like you said, they don't care about your marriage. They don't care about kids. They don't care if you fucking commit suicide. I know that sounds pretty bad, but like that's the reality of the end game of this, right? We've had people come to us and have experienced these things that you're talking about, like emotions, fucking stress, depression, all that. They don't care. They just want their business model is literally making money, and the only way they make money is if you lose. And it don't simplify it more than that. And unfortunately, people, like you said, they get caught up in all the marketing and the good guys and all this stuff that they do, and it's just like, bro, they're just trying to make money through your losses. That's it. Don't complicate it further.
Well,
I think the other thing is like as well, lots of punters don't think that they're, they hear all these horror stories or the worst that can happen, so on and so forth. But it's kind of like, oh, that won't happen to me. Like most people, that won't happen to me. I'm only losing $100 every Saturday. It won't happen to me. But it's like, yeah, but you're 19, 20, losing $100 a Saturday. When you start making double the amount of money, you'll probably be losing $200, $300, $400 every Saturday. And it just only spirals from there. Everybody that ends up with a gambling problem or, not having control of the punt, they don't just start out like that. Like everybody starts the same way. It's a $5 bet at the tab with their old man or however it works, and then it just spirals from there.
And if you've got an underlying issue in your life or some sort of thing that has to be resolved, and that fills that void, it's one of the most destructive things that can happen to you. Now, like you just said before, Tom, it all's got to start somewhere. A bloke that robs the bank doesn't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to rob a bank today.
Yeah.
He starts knocking the candy off from the store at 12, and it progresses to something else. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, freaking people that are full-blown druggers, they just don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I need to become a junkie today. It's a progressive thing, and gambling is exactly the same.
Correct.
But it's unfortunate. The bookies, they market they're smart. They're smart because I think I mentioned this last week, JP, at the end, it's an instant gratification society that we live in today, right? So pay Carlton out for the top 6 or whatever the thing is. The young blokes are getting what they want now. No one's got any patience anymore. No one's got any resilience because everything has to be done now. If I wanted to ring JP 25 years ago, I rang him, left a message at his place. He called me back 2 days later. I didn't sweat. Well, if I ring JP now and he doesn't answer his phone, you go, mate, why don't you answer your phone? Because I didn't want it. But it's not like that anymore. We want everything, has to be now.
Yeah.
Got to be on the punt now. Like, the bookies haven't paid out before correct weight. But back in the day, you had to wait for correct weight. It's sad. And the young ones just haven't got a chance these days if they don't take that step back and go, oh, shit, I can see what's actually happening here. They're sucking me in. Because once you're caught in that vortex and you don't want to have a bar everything. No, I'll be right every Saturday. Mate, there's a lot of Saturdays. And next thing you know, you're $100, it gets out of control.
So,
Derek, here you go, Steve.
I was just going to say, you've touched on some seriously powerful points here, Jimmy, and there's a couple of things I want to sort of delve a bit further. One word you mentioned there was voids, and you touched on sort of emotional roller coaster before and sort of the mental health element of that. And particularly with the younger generation, you've sort of touched on here is that they're, instant gratification. They want things instantly. We've become a world where everything comes to us instantly. You look at Amazon, you get same day delivery within like 2 hours these days. Everything is instant. And obviously this is something that sounds like you reckon the bookies are potentially playing on, which I definitely agree with. As well as that, I think there's potentially more need for ego and your image as well with the younger generation because of social media and the impacts that, having a presence and getting likes and getting comments and getting shares and all of that potentially plays on the ego of the younger generation. What do you think about that? And how do you think that has potentially changed from sort of old school punters 20, 30 years ago? Were those voids still there in a different manner, or was there something else that was potentially, that people potentially looking to gambling for to fill those voids, or do you have any comments on that?
Jimmy, before you answer that, I do just want to jump in really quickly because I was going to touch on 2 points that Steve's definitely identified and I would love to have your input on them as well. the things that I was just going to say, adding on to what you've just said and adding on to what Steve's just said, is that the difference between all those other things that you spoke about, if someone has a booze problem or a drugs problem, or, they're smoking a pack a day or whatever, the only thing that's different between gambling and all those things is that you can hide your gambling. Now that you said, right, back in the day, you had to ring up your bookie, you knew them personally, everyone could hear you on the phone, whatever. Now you can do it, in your pocket. Nobody else knows. Nobody else can see your bank account. Nobody else knows how much you're punting. So you can hide that problem or that, filling that void, and nobody else knows that you're doing it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that compared to all those other ones, drugs, booze, darts, whatever you're doing, nobody really wears that as a badge of honor. Sure, when you're like 18 to like 23, oh yeah, this guy can drink a slab of beers, like, oh, what a legend. But by the time you get to like 25, 26, it's kind of like, all right, idiot, grow up. Like, you need to stop doing that. Whereas how much you lose or how much you gamble is still, even like among my mates who are like, we're getting close to 30, like it's still kind of worn as a badge of honor. I did my tits, or, I lost a fuckload, or I was so close to this multi, and like it's still worn as a badge of honor. Whereas if they had like a drinking problem, or they were doing too many drugs, or they were smoking a pack and a half a day, as I said, you kind of be like, grow up, idiot. So it's interesting that, you touch on those points, and I would love to hear, what you think about the void and how it's so different now compared to when you started, I guess.
We would like, I'm talking, when are we talking? Late 80s, early 90s. Like, you get a tip for something on a Saturday. Guess what? You hang out till Saturday to have a bet. Because you go, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. But now it's wall-to-wall racing, wall-to-wall punting. I can remember doing my ass before the tip even, we could even get on. Because you just got into that frenzy. Because just having a punt was enough to set you off. I'm talking, I'm 19, 20. But back then you couldn't bet on a Sunday because there was no racing. And like you said, Tom, you can hide being on the punt. Probably the most obvious thing is when you're not eating, you get a bit hungry because you've got no money. But at the end of the day, if you're on the drugs, or you're on the piss, or you're smoking too much, or whatever it is, it's pretty prevalent, and you can see by just looking at the person. But being on the punt, it's very. You can hide, you can be sly, you can do all that sort of stuff. And the advent of mobile phones, having an app just sitting there, just on the punt, it's horrible. I can remember when Phone Tab came out. Right? If you had Phone Tab, you were shit off. How good am I going? Oh, he must be a big punter. He's got Phone Tab. I remember running around with tab tickets on top of my pocket, trying to fill them out. I could put a pen in each hand and fill them out with my eyes closed. But, and it moved on to, do you remember Foxtel? Remember Foxtel? You could have a bet through the remote control on your TV.
Yeah, I do remember that.
How bad's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. You could punch the code in while you're watching the tab. I'm going, this is out of control. But I've probably said this for about 20 years, this is the new smoking. Right? It's in your face. It's so good. The government's making a shit ton of money out of taxes, and so they should.
Yeah.
Because if those bottom-feeding bookies are going to try and rip you to pieces, the government may as well get something out of it.
So is that your answer to this Steve question? Like, what is that, what was filling the void back in the day? And I guess when you were growing up, probably similar to my old man, the popular thing was, as you said, everyone was just smoking darts. It was cool. Everyone thought it was awesome. Cool, like no one had any idea what it was doing to them. So the void back then was to smoke a pack of darts, or, outside the pub or whatever. And that's how you were cool, or on your way to school, and hide it from your teachers. But now it's punting. That's how young lads
get that's how they see
Steve
it.
Said, correct.
Well, they leave school.
It's fascinating.
Right? And they haven't got a cent. And they go, I want money. What do they look at? They look at social media, and they see the bloke with the Lamborghini and the big house and all the bullshit. You and I, we both know it's all bullshit. 99.9% on social media is all crap.
Of course.
Right? It's all designed to suck you into whatever they're selling. It's all bullshit. Celebrities endorsing products. That's all bullshit. But the young ones don't see that. Because they're given a phone at age 10 and 11 and an Instagram account. Oh, look at this, look at this. And unfortunately, their brains now develop. So it's a thing that I learned when I train. I do a little bit of CrossFit. It's about building up neural pathways. So when you're learning a new movement, you've got to build a neural pathway so the movement you're doing, it feels foreign at first, but after you do it after a while, it's second nature. Being on the punt's the same thing. It's just that getting them in an earlier age, the neural pathways are ingrained in their brain like the Grand Canyon. So they just think, I need money, I'll go have a punt. And it's just a vicious cycle over and over again. You know, deposit matches, all that shit. You think that is so dangerous. Now, I've explained to mates about what to do with your bonus bets. And they're looking at me going, no, that's a waste of time, can't bother doing that. I go, oh, right.
Yeah, correct.
Because it's ingrained in them.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, well, you're only turning your 100 bonus into 65. I could potentially turn it into 10 grand on a multi, so why would I turn it into 65?
That's it. So you're trying to break the neural pathways that have been formed over so many years of punting of, yeah, but the chance is I could turn that free bet or whatever it is into 10 grand. But it doesn't work like that.
Why would I cash out my multi? Why would I hedge? It's only $10. I could make $5 grand.
Exactly,
it's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
I've got a couple of questions then. Firstly, I want to know if you want to share this. Like, we've spoken about generally your experiences on the punt. Do you want to go into the actual numbers, or you don't want to share that? Like, in terms of how much you were losing prior to
how much I'm losing?
And then before this.
Oh, mate. Yeah. Just have a look at your telephone number.
But then also, how did that change?
How did it change? Look,
yeah, like you just said, it's the neural pathways need to get changed. Like, how did we, like, we didn't fucking call you up and coach you. Like, what?
No. Okay, it's like anything. The first thing is acceptance. Right? The first way to healing yourself is acceptance. After a while, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. So it's it's not that I've got a problem at this age. It's just, fuck, I want to do something different. I'm a bit over it. I'm a bit over going in, blind for the last 35 years. Obviously, the last 35 years, it hasn't worked out too well. Maybe if I change my tact, I might look at it from a different angle. And after doing probably a week or two with you guys, I knew how. I've had a Betfair account since the day it came out, so I knew how it worked. I just didn't know how to put it all together with how you guys do it, right? And then that's when the penny dropped. Okay, it's a process. It's turning up to work. I've got to do this. I just do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Yep, it's not sexy. Yep, it's pretty straightforward. Just do it. Humans have a nature of going, if it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy, it must be wrong. It must be a better way to do it. That's more outlandish, a bit over the top. But we're as dumb as dog shit when it comes to that, because why would you go against what has just served you well? You've done it week in and week out. Why go, you know what, I'm going to start punting now. Now I've built up a kitty. Now I'm going to start punting. Are you nuts? Really? Why would you change it? I do a bit of trading. And the first thing they say in is psychology for trading. And it's keep it simple. Trading methods are so simple. You don't need all the indicators and all the bullshit on your screen. Price action, just keep it simple. But you get blindsiders. That's what the bookies do. They blindside you with all the crap. And young blokes are out there just on the punt, and and even young women these days, girls. You think, wow,
100%.
This is getting out of control.
It's funny that you say keep it simple, because that's the opposite of the way that the bookie markets to you. Essentially, like they're giving you bonus back on 3 or 4 leg multis, or they're giving you massive boosts on same race multis, so on and so forth. Like, you're not getting anything for a single. You're not getting absolutely nothing for a single or backing a head-to-head. It's all about combined all these, make more money doing it this way, boost up these if you put in 4 or 5 legs. Like, they don't want you to keep it simple, because if you keep it simple, there's a chance you're not going to lose as much, or you might actually hit a couple winning bets. But the second you get extravagant or try to hit that huge Tats Lotto payout, that's when you start just donating left, right, and centre, and that's what they want you to do.
That's why I've had a couple of accounts promo banned, because I don't bet same league multis, whatever it is. That I just don't even go into that space, because I just think, like, if I'm having a punt in general, I've got no chance. But doing that, I may as well just start burning 50s. It's just ridiculous. So
you said you had the two banned, but like, how many?
I just copped another one yesterday.
Which ones?
I just copped another one yesterday. Was it? Yeah, I'm up to about 18 at the moment. So it keeps me. I've got other little things going on the side with it, so I'll just keep it moving. But I look at my numbers and I go to myself, okay, I'm about a 4-to-1 ratio. So I'll have 4 times as many non-promo bets to promo bets. Right? And they're punting me. And we're talking, one account would be $3,500 to $800 or whatever it is. The only reason they're punting me is because I've only deposited $200 in there in the last 6 months. And they're looking at me going, this bloke doesn't lose. So he's out. Now that's on the smaller bookies because they need to feed their families. So money's not coming in. Where the bigger bookies, me not depositing all the time, gets covered by the bloke who's doing his ass every Saturday. So you get caught up in the wash. It's all good. Where the smaller bookies, they'll scrutinise the shit out of you. You know.
Yeah,
and that's why it's not worth chasing.
We speak about
those accounts again.
Yeah, correct. And people listening to this, they might be confused because we always promote how sustainable people are, but we've not said that you're going to sustain your fucking text bet account for 2 years because, as I said, like you can pick your nose wrong and they'll ban you for nothing. We've had numerous people.
I think I put my password
outside of our
incorrectly
community.
and they punted me.
Yeah, they fucking ban you before you use the promo. Legit, like it's fucked.
I think they just didn't like me.
Those type of ones, they're just supplementary. Like they're just there as a support network to kind of loosen the load off the other ones. But nothing changes. That's not abnormal. To lose 3 in 6 months, that's pretty normal. Obviously there's 70.
And by the way, JP, to everyone out there, don't take it personally when they ban you because I took it personally when I got my first ban. I was pretty pissed off. I felt like I'd been victimised and, I felt like, the woke society or whatever it is. And I just went, why have I, cancel culture. I thought, why am I being picked on? Oh, fuck him. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. JP, my first promo ban, right? Can I name the bookie?
Fuck him. Name them all.
Fuck him.
Right? So I got the email. You got the email you've been banned. I went, oh, fuck it, all right. Okay. And I had a look at the ratios and I went, okay, not too good. I understand why. I didn't have a punt, or I didn't use their account for like 8 weeks. Right? I went up for the races up Newcastle a couple of months ago. I put something out on Discord, what should we do, boys, if you go in the races? And I knew what the answer was. It was, don't do the system. It's not going to work because you haven't got your computer and everything in front of you. So I thought, fuck it, Caulfield Cup. I'll chuck a couple of bucks in the account because I don't use it and I'm not going to use it and there's no promos. So I think I had $2,000 worth of non-promo bets in there. Sorry, $2,000 promo bets to 1,000 of non-promo bets, and that's why they canned me. Anyway, I think I chucked $300 in there or $400. And I thought, I'll have a bet in the Caulfield Cup. Just, I'm with the boys, the girlfriends, the wives, all that sort of stuff. I've got the winner of the Caulfield Cup. I've got the thing that's run third, and I've got the trifecta twice. So I pulled out $8,000. And I had to withdraw it. All right, mate, they're on the blower.
This is after you got banned or before?
No, after I got banned. And I said to my missus, there is no chance they're going to lift the promo bets. They've looked at me and gone, this bloke owes us money. There's no way we're going to get it back off him. We'll see you later. Done. I'll never open it. Never use their account again. I thought, fuck him. You want to pro ban me a bit? This is me. Promo ban me. This is my last hurrah. See you later. So, fuck him. Yeah, the funny thing was, I was in the car, we're driving home, and I said to the missus, I'll ask. I said, I played dumb. I said, mate, I got this email the other week. He said, I've been promo banned. I don't understand. What's it all about? He goes, let me just go to the marketing, the trading floor, and I'll get back to you. And he calls me back. He goes, no, mate, you're going to have to get your non-promo bets up a bit higher. I said, okay, I'll leave that with you. So,
I mean, at least they tell you, but it's pretty obvious. They just want you donating.
That's all they want. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, so don't take it personally. It is what it is.
No. So, all right, when you found us, had you already accepted? Like, I'm starting to think now that you'd already kind of like you made this call to change because you're sick of it. So we didn't do anything. Like we just probably helped that process a little bit. But you'd said probably I'd say the reason. Correct me if I'm wrong. Would be just maturity. Like someone who's seen. Yeah. Would you say it's that?
That was going to be my question. What was the light bulb moment, essentially, or when were you like, fuck this, I'm not just going to keep giving away $200, $300, $500 every week on the punt. Like, this is so dumb. What made that click? What was it?
Oh, it's like I said before. After 30 years, you go, you know what? This hasn't been working. I've got to change something. And you have your ups and downs. You think, oh yeah, I'm all good. Late 20s, oh, I'm all good. I know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, you sort of not you get out of control. Some people do, but you start punting more than what you should. And you go, well, it's not really working. It doesn't matter whether I punt $5 a week or $500 a week. The result is still the same. I'm not winning. So what's the point in doing this? I stumbled on you.
But was it like a really bad day or anything?
No, nothing like that. It was more, I just wanted to be a bit more like a side hustle. Okay, I love the horses. I really enjoy the racing scene and all that sort of stuff. But how can I do this so it's not a really expensive hobby?
So it's sustainable, essentially.
Yeah, so it's sustainable. So I can actually enjoy it, keep an eye on things, go in there with an air of confidence when I am sitting down and doing a Saturday that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I might drop a couple of bucks here and there, but I know in the long run, and it's been proven since I've joined, you're just on the up and up. Yeah, you might go sideways for a session or two, but you're on the up. And I can see how it's working. I can see the whole system and how it works and how the day's laid out. And I go, yep, sweet, I'm all on board here. And I sit down and go, well, okay, today potentially I'm outlaying X amount of dollars. Yep, counts are all loaded up, ready to rock and roll. And, let's just fire away. Just keep picking them off. And that one didn't work, next one. That one didn't work, next one. Yep, that one did, thank you. Move. Whereas when you're on the punt, it's the losses that build up, that you're sticking your hand in your pocket to pull. And that's the other thing. We used to punt in cash. When you're punting in cash as a tangible asset in your hand, it makes a significant difference to when you're clicking buttons. Oh, massive. Yep. That's why casinos do chips. It's all psychology.
If you're punting cash, you're actually handing it over. You have to physically get rid of it, and you feel, you're going to be a lot more cautious with it. You don't want to lose the cash in your wallet, but when it's just numbers on a screen, 25 here, 50 here, it doesn't matter. Like, it feels fake.
That's exactly, And that's why you see governments are trying to make cashless societies and they're trying to make everything digital, because it removes that feeling, that bond that you have with cash. I'm old school. Give me a bit of cash. Always give me cash. I don't want freaking things in my bank account. Everything's tap and go these days. I can't think of anything more painful.
Because on the weekend, we obviously had, we ended up plus 1.8, but we had 8 races in a row, no winner, and we went minus 10.3 units during that period. We were plus 7, and then we went to minus 3.3, finished plus 1.8. And the chat again was pretty, no one saying anything bad. I think everyone's scared to this point, but you said something at the end of the day, and you said you didn't even know that we had 8 losers in a row because you were doing all the other shit, and you wrote something, I can even get it up, but you pretty much said that your day is just like, okay, next, do this, do that. Like you said before, like you're doing other stuff, you're hedging, you're turning bonuses over, you're probably doing non-promo stuff on other races, and then you come back at the end of the day and you count your profits and whatever it is. But how do you do you think it's because you just know it works now and you don't care about the result, or do you have that much of a focus that you're just there to do what you got to do and then that's your Saturday and you love it and you don't care? Like, what is it that you don't care about the 8 losses in a row, or you don't even know?
I get the same enjoyment and excitement out of doing Saturdays now than I did if I was rocking up the racetrack as a 22-year-old. No, I'm going to have a big day on the drink and the punt. The only difference is I know at the end of the day now I'm going to walk out. 9 times out of 10, I would say we're in front. But I'm on an up and up. It's on a weekly basis. It's on a monthly basis. And when I get to 12 months, I go, well, that's where I was at the start, and this is where I am now. The frantic pace that I spoke of for me is 5 hours. Like you said, you blokes are firing tips through to me. I'm trying to bet the max as I can, right? because $5 and $10 bets just doesn't cut it for me. I don't get the same, if you haven't got enough on it, you're not shaking. So I've just got to get on. And so I'm trying to feverishly hit the keyboard and I'm button mashing all at the same time. And I'm looking at odds on Betfair. So I've got one screen with Betfair, I've got Telegram, I've got races on, I've got all the bookies up on another screen, I've got the calculator and all that. And I'm writing it all down. I've got my own little sheet in front of me, a book that I keep. And I don't have time to worry about, I don't even watch the race 9 times out of 10. I just listen to it on my headphones.
Yeah, interesting.
And then I just write down my odds if it wins, and I just fill in the details.
Because you're entering data and
yeah, because
into the spreadsheet.
See, to be honest with you, with the spreadsheet, the only thing I fill in is my sustainability. My turnover of my bonus bets, right? I know I get somewhere between 70 and 80%.
Yeah.
And I can get it up to around about, on average, probably 73, 74. I'm not fussed about that. Right? I couldn't give a rat's ass, but I know it's around there. So I look at that, that's a bonus back to me somewhere along the line, whether it be a bookie or whether it be my Betfair. I'm more concerned about my sustainability. And I also do the system tally. So where we are. So every race that you guys pump out the numbers and the unit sizes and all that sort of stuff, I enter all that. So yeah, the promo list.
So you know how many. Go on.
Mate.
Yeah, so you know how many promo bets you're putting on. You know how many non-promo bets. You've simplified it down to, as simple as you can possibly make that input in, and that's all you really need. That's
all I need. I don't need to say that I had this bet.
Yeah.
Even if it's a sports bet, Essendon v Carlton, and it was this, and I hedged it with this book. I don't need any of that. All I need is how much I'm spending, and I keep my ratios, and I look at it, I go, all right, I've just opened a new account. Okay, let's just go non-promo and just turn over $1,000 in a week. Right? Let's turn it over. Yeah, okay, I'm going to probably cost me 5% somewhere along the line. I might be able to get something in my favour that gets me back in front. That's fine. I've set that up. Now I can start drip feeding a promo here and there. And that's the way I look at it. And I go, all right, give it a month or two, and that might be my sustainability. Like you said, they'll look into your account. It'd be better if I can drain an account. But it's like a piece of paper in front of, I've got a book in front of me, got all my bookies, got my starting balance for the day for each bookie, and a tally at the bottom. I've got a column for promos, a column for non-promos, and a column for mugs, right? And I just go tick, 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 tick. So at the end of the day, I go, all right, it's getting towards the end of the day. Oh shit, okay, Ladbrokes, I've had 3 promo. I like to have 6 non-promos. So let's find something. I'll start looking at trots or whatever. Just put it, and have a look at Betfair. Okay, offload here, go back here, back here, back here. And I just move it around. And just try and keep my sustainability that way. So it's just a constant ongoing pace. And you guys, your system will come through, and I reproduce my own promo list for each state with the bookies that I've still got going. Because obviously you've got some bookies up there that have knocked me on the head. Okay, cool. And I'll fill it all in. And I'll have up $28, down $52, up $170. So I know at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, okay, yeah, we're floating around about there. That's fine. Let's do some bonus bets here, get this across here, and just move it all around. And it's not till about 5:30 in the afternoon I can crack a beer and go, oh, now I can have a breather and relax.
Job done.
But it's fun. I enjoy it. It's
I used to love that.
Yeah.
I miss it, to be honest. And I won't lie, probably the last month or two I've had a couple of days actually doing that because I've missed it. And it's actually fucking fun. I sit there on my laptop in front of the TV and it's actually fun doing it. You might even make $300 for the day. Like it's not going to, we're not going to do it. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it for enjoyment. And that's the beauty of it. I think it is actually enjoyable when people say it's not, which I sometimes laugh at, but
some people, I think,
Tom.
Yeah, I think this little discussion here provides a really good insight as to what goes on outside of the actual system itself and what's required to sort of sustain your accounts and the things that you're doing in the background too. Obviously, you've touched on a few things there, Jimmy. 5:30 comes around and you've already put on a few bets after on the trots, you've turned over your bonus bets, etc. But obviously, the higher and the larger scale you go following the system, the more of that is required. And so all of a sudden, JP, you've mentioned in podcasts, on reels, people do this full time, and it genuinely, when we were doing it, JP, Tom, and myself were doing it full time. probably putting in 60, 70, possibly 80 hours a week doing it. And people are going, well, how can you do that when you've only got promos on a Wednesday and promos on a Saturday? And it's like, not the whole time, you're probably only spending probably 25% of your time trying to make money. The other 75% of the time, you're actually, sustaining yourself, defending your accounts, putting on all these extra sort of non-promo mug bets, whatever you want to call them. So I think this provides a real good bit of insight. And that whole grind is fun. Like when you're actually spending a large majority of the time not even trying to make money, but you're still enjoying it, that's like half of the thrill. And then all of a sudden the Saturday comes around and that's when you really cash in. But some days obviously you're still going to lose, and that's okay because you just know in the long term you're sort of going to go up and up. You're going to have those 25% of hours a week dedicated to making money. The other 75% are all just there to sort of sustain yourself. I've just sort of arbitrarily made those numbers up, but it does give a bit of an insight as to what we mean when you say you can do this full time, you can scale it up, you can increase your workload.
Yeah, well, to put simple numbers together, Steve, like if you're operating, say, for example, you're operating, for some of the top dogs, they'll be operating, the ones that are doing it, as you said, like 30, 40, 50 hours a week of match betting, they'll be following the system on $200 unit size. And if we average, call it 300 units, let's go conservative, 300 units for the year, that's still 60K tax-free, which is like being on, 80, 90K wage, let alone making money any other way through match betting if you're getting redeposit offers, if you're following, some sport promo methods, so on and so forth. So yes, you are putting in the hard yards, but you're absolutely reaping the rewards. Like that's the other thing that people don't understand. Oh, you can only make money on a Saturday, you can only bet $50 on a race. Like, it's like, nah, mate, like honestly, you're not even scratching the surface doing it that way. And for the people that want to take it seriously and do commit to it, it's untapped potential how much you can make. But as you said, making the money is very easy, and you probably only do that for 20, 30% of the week. The rest of the week is making sure that you're in a position to keep making that money. And that's what people don't understand.
And the biggest thing about the whole thing is you actually enjoy what you're doing. It's not a job.
That's amazing.
I actually enjoy the Saturdays. Like, I really look forward to it. I always check out, okay, what time's the first race? Boys will flick through a promo. Okay, what's going on? And it's quick. It's Saturday morning. Let me get all my jobs out of the way. Give myself about an hour to set up. And I've got 4 screens and a laptop and a book in front of me, a calculator, and it's full on. My missus doesn't talk to me. Yeah, she goes, "Oh, you want something to eat?" And I'll quickly in between a race, I'll have something to eat and get back into it. But I love it. It's there's nothing.
Some
better.
people as well spend their whole Saturday punting anyway. They're sitting on the couch for 5 hours punting and watching every race. You may as well fucking make money doing it.
Yeah.
And not lose.
I do a lot of non-promo during the week on NFL and NBA and all that sort of stuff. I know 2 bits of fuck all about NBA, but guess what? Because I just look at the prices and just marry it off.
It's just numbers.
Mate, you're playing with cucumbers. You just look at the numbers, and if they all marry up, you go, yep, that's me, done. That's all you have to do.
But that's the beauty of it. It's literally just simplified mathematics, and that's all it is, plus and minus. Follow some rules, you'll be fine.
That's all it is. It's just purely a numbers game, and what they try and do, the bookies, it doesn't matter, banks, and they do it all. They try and bamboozle you with numbers. And 9 times out of 10, people go, "Oh, that's too hard. I can't work that out." And you go, "Really? Just sit there and process it in your head, or get a calculator."
Plus, there's calculators.
On the phone. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Correct.
And just work it out. And you go, "Oh, really?" And I've explained this to my mates. And bloody my age, they look at me like I've got 2 heads. Nah, fucking too hard. Can't be fucked. And the other
what do you tell them?
I'd rather just do my tits.
Yeah, what do you tell them? Do you tell them like, this is a system I'm following, a place promo bet here, or are you telling them like just a bonus turnover, for example?
Well, to my mates, I reckon I've spent all about 2.5 minutes telling them, because they just look at me with crossed eyes and go, "Are you for real? What's happened to you?" Whereas,
are they losing that?
Yeah, they lose, but they don't give a shit.
Like, are they still punting?
They're still
probably
punting.
can afford it, and it's fine.
You know what I love? I'll speak to them on a Monday morning or a Sunday, and I'll ring up, especially my best mate. And I go, "How'd you go on the weekend, mate, on the punt?" He goes, "Oh, fuck, I ran second here and this one. I was up this and he goes, "How'd you go?" "Oh, yeah, probably up 200. And I just know that each week I'm in front. Like, I'm just falling in front and just keep each week. I couldn't tell you last time I had a losing, like as in I've done my arse on the punt, let alone, okay, the system probably had an off week once there on a Saturday, but it doesn't register. You sort of sit there and go, yeah, it's normally the other way around. It's normally I have 1 winning week and 10 losing weeks, where this year is, if we had a losing week, you've had 10 winning weeks leading into it. It's all part of the game. It's just how it plays. You know? And trying to explain it for the young blokes in their 20s, it's a bit hard because like the lights don't come on until they're 25, and they're just thinking about how much money they can get there and then, which goes back to instant gratification.
Yeah, that's spot on. Everyone's thinking about how much money they can win. They're not thinking about how much money they will probably lose.
Yeah. It's like those multis.
It's not can lose.
14 legs, I can win 69 grand. Yeah, well, that's it. And then you sit there, but there's 14 scenarios that have to play out for you to get to that. It's never going to happen. I've got more chance of going to the moon. You know, it's just...
Well, people will say, oh, but... No, but that's fucking spot on. But people say, oh, but he won it. And then they'll tag us in a fucking some idiot who won one on TikTok. Oh, look, here you go, JP. He won a multi. It's like, yeah. And now you're sucked into doing it more because that monkey's done it. And now you didn't do it, but you're going to follow him. So now you're going to start losing money.
And the whole thing about that is everyone just wants to have that ego boost of I won. They want to rub it into JP. JP cops it the most. They want to be like, hey, JP, fucking look at my mate. He won. You're a dickhead. You said he couldn't win. It's like, oh, fuck, good on you, mate.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is they're still losing as well. Like, they didn't make a cent. Like, what are you bragging about, mate?
I don't get that mentality. I don't understand it.
Nah, because if you logically do, I've said this hundreds of times, if you logically put things together in the world and what people tell you to do, the news, the fucking bookies, it will not make sense. But if you sit there and put it on a piece of paper and say, that does that, but why am I doing this? And I spoke to someone, I've actually got a coach now that's taking me for one-on-one in the gym because I just needed some accountability. And he said to me a funny story. He's like, he's got an 18-year-old daughter and he's all about like critical thinking and that. And he goes, if my daughter says to me, oh, I'm going out with my mates and I'm going to do drugs. And then he asks her, but why are you doing it? And she can't answer the question. He'll be super angry. But if she says, not that promoting drugs, but if she says, I want to get fucking smashed with my mates, like I want to do it with my mates and try it, he's like, that's fine. But if she has no ability to say the reason why she's doing something, then he's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, think about what you're doing and actually know why you're doing something rather than just doing it like a fucking trained puppet, basically. Yeah. So
I've had apprentices for the last 20 odd years, and we'll be working away. And I always say to them, if you're going to do something, and even when I coached boys, for footy or whatever, if you're going to do something, and I ask you, what'd you do that for? Tell me why. Don't just shrug yourself and go, I don't know. Because it's that real herd mentality. You are a representation of your herd. Yeah. So if you're going to hang around, pissheads, drugheads, whatever, that's what's going to happen to you. That's just how it happens. I didn't make up the rules. I just play by them. You get sucked into that way of whatever they're doing. It takes a stronger person, and it's hard when you're young, to be very mindful of the situation you're in and go, hey, that's not good for me. Shit, I've just learned a couple of things about myself. That's not good. It's hard when you're young because especially when you're a boy.
Yeah. But we're all like fucking nearly 30 and we took 10 years, like from adulthood. I didn't learn, like obviously I learned match betting when I was like 23, but I lost fucking money trading shit and trying to work out Forex and like 28 years old, probably just woke up, and that took 10 years of adulthood. So I'd like to think I'm a pretty switched on individual as well. So most people, like you said, don't have a hope or a chance.
I think your situation was a little bit different though, Jake. Like I think you made a few mistakes along the way, but generally your mistakes were trying to do things with your own sort of critical thinking. What the bookies do is they literally like play on this idea that people just want to all like belong together in this losing group of punters. And you look at what Ladbrokes and Sportsbet do with Bet with Mates. That's the new biggest thing, because they literally know that you put a bunch of 25-year-old idiots together, they're going to be a bigger group of idiots. They're going to like take larger risks. They're going to brag and laugh about the idea that they're losing together. So they just all get sucked in. They don't think for themselves, and the bookies are just cashing in.
there's no problems with making a mistake, right? It's not the end of the world. No one died.
Yeah.
It's when you repeat that same mistake over and over and over again, you go, fuck, I've got a problem here. Because, you stick your finger in the power point, you get an electric shock, you're going to do it again? Oh, yeah, because it might be different this time. No, it won't be. It's good. And this is, but they don't want to simplify it like that, because the bookies throw it all the other, you can win on the next race. Well, it's...
Yeah.
Life's very simple and very, very, very easy to do. We just complicate the shit out of it. Right? We just make it really hard for ourselves. Like you said, JP, like the news, don't get me started on that bullshit. And they just want to tell you.
I'd love to have a chat with you in real life about what they're recording.
Might have to fly down for a beer.
If you watch the news anyway these days, every ad is fucking. There's 10 bookie promotions on every ad anyway, so it's absolutely messed up.
I don't know how you are down there. I know you had your spring carnival. We had ours up here. I was driving out west one day, and those overpasses over the big freeways. I don't go that far from my holidays, but these ads that were coming up for Ladbrokes and Neds, I'm going, fuck me, how much would these cost? This is bullshit. And who's paid for that?
Yeah, nah.
Who knows?
Losing gamblers.
They're just massive gamblers, paid by gamblers. Just,
Literally.
It's like when you go into Rebel and you buy those, $80 pair of nylon shorts, and mate, there's probably $3.50 worth of material on that, but you're just paying for the fit out because it's all the bullshit around it. That's it. Yeah. You as a punter, you're supplementing them by losing your money, and you got nothing for it. Whereas at least if you go to a shop and you buy something from Rebel, you've got something to show for it. You bought a pair of shoes, you bought shorts or a shirt or whatever it is. Being a punter, no, you got nothing to show for it. It's a shit lifestyle.
Mm. Yeah,
100%. I agree.
It's been a very good chat. I guess we won't keep it much longer, but I've got a couple of questions. I don't know if you have to go, but I kind of want to know ballpark figure, like profit made so far, but also what goals you have to continue this. Like, what are you happy to just keep doing what you're doing? Like, have you missed weeks? Do you do it every Saturday? Like, what do you want out of the next, 12, 24 months in the space?
I'm probably up about, $6.5, $7 grand. I'll put my hand up. I've made mistakes on the way, and it's cost me money, and freaking back the horse and went. It's like we said before, it's a mistake. You learn from it. Back the horse and then laid the wrong horse in the same race, and you're cracking walnuts with your ass cheeks going, please.
I did that on Saturday. I've been doing it for 9 years. Same thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And you get, you do your necking going from screen to screen, looking left and looking right, trying to marry odds up. Anyway, that's part and parcel of the game. I probably missed. I probably missed 2 weeks all up in the last 6 months. I went on a cruise in October and trying to get Wi-Fi on the cruise. I'm virtually hanging out over the balcony with my phone, trying to get bets on. I reckon it was a Friday. It was the night before the AFL Grand Final, and I'm going, fuck, this is impossible. I'm just going, and the shit Wi-Fi was fucking atrocious. Anyway, I was trying to do the best I could, I left the grand final at 3/4 time down the auditorium because the Swans were getting pumped. And then I thought, I'll just go back and make myself feel better and put a few system bets on, But, look, I'm going to just keep going the way I'm going. My biggest thing is, look, the system, I don't even think twice about. I just do it. Just rad body, just turn up. What do you want me to do? 1.5 units on that? Done. My biggest thing is sustainability. Just got to keep on top of it. It's virtually, like you guys were saying before, your money's made on the Wednesdays and the Saturdays technically. The other days, that's just for sustainability. It's Sundays as well. Throw a bet off you here, A-League soccer, cricket, footy, whatever. Just turn it over. Just keep things moving. Because I'm a believer that if your account sits still, this is what I think, it's a bit of a warning sign if you're firing it up only on a Wednesday and a Saturday. I just think if you're ticking it over each day, just even if it's just, if you're a $20 punter, even if it's just a $5, $10 bet on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and a Friday and a Sunday, just couple of sport things here and there.
Mm.
You know,
I think those
If
are
you're
really
into
good
hedging
things that
in the
you're saying, and I think. Yeah, so I was just going to say, the fact that you've sort of come from a real sort of punting background, you've had years of it, you sort of know the tendencies of what a typical punter would look like, which I think it sounds like you're really sort of playing on that now to defend your accounts, because you know what you used to do, and you know that all of a sudden you've got this change in behaviour, so you know how to pretend to look like how you used to look, in a sense.
That's it. I've got a second account anyway. It's in a female's name, so I've got to punt like a female. I can't be betting like how I want to have a punt. So I've got to throw in the old trifecta here and there. Just little shit, you know. Well, it's what I call dust. You know, JP, you probably know that from trading, you know, crypto and stuff like that. You got dust in your account, just get rid of it. $3, $2, $1. Just flip them over here and there. That's the price you pay just to keep your accounts ticking over. You know.
Match betting tax. You got to pay a little tax.
That's it. You're paying a little bit of tax. It's probably the cheapest tax you're ever going to pay.
Yeah, it is 100%.
Yeah, but you're right, Steve. And when I first joined, and I think JP, when you did all the videos, and you're explaining it to people, it dawned on me halfway through. I thought, fuck, there's actual people who do not bet, would know nothing about having a punt, let alone about horses or anything like that, and they're trying to take this on. I thought, mate, this would be like trying to drink from a fire hose. It's just, you just be information overload, because if you don't have a punting background, you won't get it. Well, you won't get it at first, I should say.
Yeah, correct. This is why we tell people to go off the video, do the videos a few times. I promise you, there was a guy on the TikTok comments last night, and the boys, I don't think have seen it. He's having a go at us for charging people for this. And he said that he could not only personally coach 500 subs himself, but he could explain everything in one video.
Yeah, okay.
So, what would you say?
Well, money talks, bullshit talks.
What would you say to that?
He said, yeah, okay.
Fuck off, idiot. He's full of shit, you know. But this is.
I'm trying to work out if he's being legit or if he's just
he's taking.
And I was actually intrigued by it all. But
imbecile.
No, honestly, if you read it, it's pretty fucked. But.
Yeah, no, but that's all well and truly good. Hide behind the keyboard and punch out a comment like that. Well, good on you. It's you blokes. Your method's proven. Like you've called out other blokes who bullshit and lie. Right, tips are coming through, then they cancel that one. I don't do them. And put these ones up. This is what social media is.
Yeah.
99% of it's all bullshit.
I guess while we are talking about this and, trolls and whatever's on social media, if people are watching this interview now or podcast, whatever we want to call it, they're an hour in, right? So they obviously are interested in your story and how you've been speaking and what we're talking about. We've touched on some really good topics about, mental health and how slippery slope the betting can be when you have no idea what's going on. If someone's listening to this now, they're either going to be a subscriber who's probably just starting out, somebody who's a long-term subscriber, or they might just be a punter in general who's very curious about what goes on in the space. What advice do you have if you're speaking to the whole generation of 18 to 25-year-old punters who are just getting in the space or just started betting, what would you honestly, how would you explain it to them? What would you say to them? Not about selling the system or match betting, but just advice for their punting in general. What are you telling them? How do you steer them away from it or give them the advice without, trying to tell them that you know best or bossing them around? How do you go about that?
No. All right. The biggest thing, and you blokes have only recently been through it because you're younger than me, the biggest thing is FOMO. You think you're missing out. Right? And that's got more and more prevalent with instant gratification. And don't act on that feeling. Don't act on, I've got to have a punt. Oh, my mate's got a tip and we're going to go down, we're all going to back it, because it's not one tip, it's another 1,000 afterwards. Just take a step back from the group and have a look at it and say, is this good for me? Don't think that because everyone else is doing it, it's good. Because everyone else is punting, you really? And they're all doing their ass. So what makes me want to win? What's going to guarantee that I'll win? Because it won't. And this is this peer pressure and all that sort of and herd mentality. It can be hard because they haven't done it, they haven't lived it. I've lived it, and I've come out the other side. and I'm here to talk about it. It's something that I just say, just don't get involved. Not to sell the system, not to sell any of this.
No, nothing to do with that.
Not even about the system. Yeah,
it's just an avenue you don't want to go down. You know, it's trying, and it's hard because there's peer pressure. You know, it's like the bloke that, you know, I gave up smoking and he goes 5 weeks without a dart, but then he sits down at the pub and has a beer with his mate and he goes, "Can you fling us a dart? I'm hanging for one." It just
because they're all darting and they're all drinking beers.
That's it, and it's the hardest thing. And you're acting on that emotion. You're acting on those neural pathways that have been formed. You know, the receptors in your brain feel good because you've had a beer. So all of a sudden you relax, you feel better. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter drinking, smoking, gambling, drugging. It's all the same. It's just different people have different vices.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to one thing: is just being mindful, just being 100% mindful of what you're doing. You know, I don't know whether you blokes have heard of lemming. You know what lemmings are? Lemmings are a so-called, I think, mythical society. You know, one walks off a cliff, so they all walk off the cliff. Why they walk off the cliff? Well, no one knows, but they just did. Like, it's the same thing.
That's not mythical. That's the world we're living in right now.
Yeah. No, JP, yeah. We need to have a beer. I agree.
All right, Jimmy.
Hey, JP.
I've
JP, I've got a tinfoil hat up here for you.
That's a cop out for anyone who wants to criticize someone who has a brain that can think.
You two are cut from the same cloth. But anyway, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thanks so much for that.
No problem,
Jimmy.
boys.
That's easily been my favourite, I think. Unfortunately, for everyone else that we've interviewed, that's been
that was sick.
fucking unbelievable insight. And I can't wait for people to listen to that. And hopefully there are a few people that do watch this and it clicks for them. Maybe they're 18 to 25 and they're like, fuck, you know, Jimmy's lived it all. He's done it all. And he's come out the other side with some really good advice. So, yeah, I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm sure the other boys have as well.
So either that or they got a 1 hour and 5 minutes of sleep. So that's good.
Nah, that'll be fine.
That was a good laugh.
Thanks for that, Jimmy.
No problems, boys. Thank you.
Cheers.